Why are they going after her, but not going after him? Joining you now are Lisa Depaulo, a writer for Vanity Fair and the New York Times, who questions Amber Heard's testimony, and Ruth Glenn, president of the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Ladies, thank you so much for being here. And Lisa, let me start with you. I've been watching not only this trial, but also the whole trial in England. So I got real thick and heavy with all the evidence. And there was ample evidence and a lot of detailed testimony from Amber Heard, actually corroborated oftentimes by Johnny Depp himself. And yet it really seems that liar is the default when it comes to people looking at Amber Heard. Why is that?
Well, you kind of hit it. He comes across as truthful. She comes across as a liar. And I think that's what it's about. Now, like whenever she was on the stand, I would think, oh my God, you're a better actress than this. She wasn't, it's weird. He's more likable. And that's a big deal to juries, who's likable. In fact, what my question always is, which you can't see on TV with the, when trials are on TV, which they should be, is how is the jury reacting?
Yes,
what are
that's
their
exactly
expressions?
It. Lisa, you hit the nail on the head, because I have sat through so many trials, and when you see the TV reports on them, they're entirely different than what it felt like in the courtroom and how the jury was reacting.
Exactly.
So, Ruth, I want you to jump in here. Maybe this is why
but I heard today that
people...
Yeah.
Well, hold on one sec. Maybe this is why we got all those people out there with Amber Heard is crazy and Amber Heard and all these nasty polemics that people are espousing when it comes to Amber. Maybe they didn't actually watch the British trial, in which the judge there determined that 12 out of the 14 claims that Amber Heard made were likely to have happened more than not to have happened. That is a serious judgment in an actual courtroom with actual evidence. So I guess the question is, why is it so hard for an American audience to feel that way? Ruth.
I believe it is, as you alluded to a few minutes ago, is fame is huge in this country. And we are likely to hang on to the words of those that we are fans of. And we come to it with a huge bias. And I firmly believe that about this country, and I believe that's why we are seeing this during this trial.
Okay, so Lisa, I want to play a soundbite. This is a piece of evidence that I first learned about in the British trial, and then, of course, it was actually brought into the American trial. This is a moment where Amber Heard has her phone rolling surreptitiously in the kitchen while Johnny is just slamming cupboards and is obviously angry about something. And I'm just going to let it play out, and you're going to see what the dynamic was like between these two. Have a look.
That's an amazing...
This morning, you know that?
Were you in here?
No.
So then nothing happened to you this morning?
Yeah, you're right. I just woke up and you were so sweet and nice. We were not even fighting this morning. All I did was say sorry.
Did something happen to you this morning? I don't think so.
No, that's the thing.
You want to see crazy? I'll give you crazy. That's crazy. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, you're crazy.
Have you drunk this whole thing this morning?
Oh, you got this going? You got this going?
I just started it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really? See that?
No, didn't. You were smashing.
Bye.
Okay, Lisa, that gave me a little bit of insight, not only about a person who is physically aggressive
Yep.
just with cupboards. But then also the way he reacted when he poured the full, tumbler of drink and then noticed Amber was actually taping. I tend to wonder if it's where there's smoke, there's fire. What do you think, Lisa?
Look, I'm going to sound like a defense attorney, but he didn't hit her. He did not touch her. He was freaking out.
Well, how
Now,
do you know? Wait a minute.
I've
How do
heard
you know he
various-
didn't touch her? There was a real tussle there for the phone. That looked like there was contact to me.
Well, we don't know if it's not on this video, and I've heard from different people that when that day, his mother had just died. Now he had a fraught relationship because it was abusive to him, but I think he hurt the cabinets, but he didn't hurt Amber in that. I'm not saying it's not scary, his whole thing, but there's scary and then there's physical abuse.
So, okay, this is just one very small part of the evidence. And then there are other people who have said that he was violent. And then there are the words of Johnny Depp himself where he says, I am just a monster. I get like blackout drunk and I become the monster. He says it many times. He writes it. He says it. There's like ample evidence of this. Ruth.
Look.
Wait, I want to get Ruth on. I want to get Ruth in on this. Ruth, it used to be in this country that we considered a black person to be 3/5 of a white person when it came to voting. And sometimes I think that when it comes to women who say, I've been abused, and this is your forte, is domestic abuse, it takes 100 women before the headlines on Bill Cosby start as to maybe he did do something bad, but it took 100 women. And I look at what's happening with Amber Heard and the overwhelming smear campaign about a woman who clearly has physical evidence showing that he was very rough and abusive towards her. Help me walk through this.
I think Lisa brings up a good point, is that we just witnessed a video in which, indeed, he was not physically abusive that we saw. I think what's important to remember is that domestic violence is about power and control. He was absolutely controlling that situation in that video. And then to your question, you bring up a good point, is that as women and children, we are sometimes still dealing with being second-class citizens. And so you're absolutely correct. And I know that's why the defense is bringing forth previous partners of his, is because we almost have to have a force or an army behind us to be believed, particularly when it's a high-profile case like this. And that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it took 5 women telling the exact same story about Phil Spector, and there was still a hung jury. And then, he was, convicted in the second round. But 5 women with exactly the same story, and that wasn't even all of them. The judge limited it to just 5. Lisa, I have to end it there, but I'll be interested to see how the rest of this plays out. But I'm just gonna say it. There is no chance. I'm gonna put it on the line on television live. There's no chance that Johnny Depp is going to prevail in this $50 million civil case against Amber Heard. But I think there is a chance. I think there is a chance that she will. Believe it or not, I think that she might, because she can't work right now. She 100% can't work. So we'll have to reconvene this group. How would that be? Lisa, thank you. Ruth, thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate both of you.
Please, Ashleigh, we got to come back.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.